There's something powerful about a woman who walks into her day like she owns it. Not loud, not proud, just grounded, steady, unshaken. You see it in her posture. You feel it in her energy. She's not out here trying to prove anything. She's just being. That power doesn't come from luck. It's not gifted by anyone else. It's built brick by brick through habits, daily choices that no one applauds but everyone notices. Let's talk about 10 daily habits every woman must master. Not to be perfect, not to chase a version of herself created by the world, but to live with clarity, strength, and peace. Start by owning the first hour of your day. No scrolling, no checking messages, no running into the chaos without armor. Take your first hour and make it yours. Sit with your thoughts, breathe, reflect, pray, journal, stretch. Make your bed like it matters, because it does. The way you greet your morning teaches your brain how to treat the rest of your day. And if your morning belongs to you, you'll notice your energy stays with you longer. Master the art of setting boundaries and don't apologize for it. You are not selfish for protecting your time. You are not mean for saying no. You are not cold for refusing what drains you. Your peace is not up for discussion. Start saying no without a paragraph of excuses, and start saying yes only to what honors your soul. People might be uncomfortable at first, but the right ones will adjust, and the wrong ones will expose themselves. Move your body every day, not to punish it, not to fix it, but to honor it. Walk, dance, stretch, lift, flow, just move. You are living in a body that does so much for you. Show it the respect it deserves. A strong woman isn't defined by how she looks. She's defined by how she carries herself. And movement builds that presence. It reconnects you with your breath, your posture, your fire. Speak to yourself the way you'd speak to a sister you love. Every day, without fail, your inner voice is shaping your outer life. If you call yourself weak, unworthy, lazy, not enough, you become a home for those beliefs. Stop that. Interrupt that voice. Replace it. Tell yourself you're learning. Tell yourself you're healing. Tell yourself you're showing up the best you can. And tomorrow, you'll try again. That kind of voice builds women who walk through storms and still smile. Keep one promise to yourself, just one, every day. Drink the water you said you would. Read a few pages of the book. Take 5 minutes outside. Meditate. Turn off your phone at 9. Doesn't have to be dramatic, but it has to be real. The more often you keep promises to yourself, the louder your self-trust becomes. And when a woman trusts herself, no outside opinion can shake her foundation. Choose to stay unbothered by what doesn't matter. Not everything needs your reaction. Not every comment deserves your attention. Not every invitation should be accepted. You don't need to fight every battle. You're not a soldier. You're a queen. Learn to smile, turn away, and protect your emotional energy. Silence is a power move. It says, I know what I could say, but I value my peace more. Be intentional with your digital diet. Don't consume noise first thing in the morning or last thing at night. Curate your feed like you curate your friends. Follow women who inspire peace, not perfection. If it makes you compare, delete it. If it brings anxiety, mute it. You are not obligated to stay plugged in just because the world says so. Check in with yourself every day. Take 5 minutes. Ask, how am I feeling? What do I need right now? What am I proud of today? Self-awareness is a skill, not a trait. And the more you practice it, the more powerful you become, because when you understand your needs, your triggers, your boundaries, you stop letting others define your experience. Take responsibility for your space. Clean something, organize something, light a candle, water the plants. When your environment is in order, your mind breathes better. You don't need a mansion or expensive decor. You just need a space that reflects peace and pride. And when your home feels safe, you'll move through life with more calm. Finally, stay rooted in something deeper than productivity: faith, purpose, gratitude, something that doesn't depend on performance. Because when the day doesn't go your way, when the to-do list is unfinished, when you feel messy and undone, you need an anchor. And that anchor will remind you you're not defined by what you achieve, but by who you are becoming. These 10 habits are not about becoming a different woman. They're about becoming yourself fully, with strength, with softness, with self-respect. You don't have to do them perfectly. You just have to do them consistently. Because when a woman masters her daily habits, she doesn't need to chase power. She becomes it quietly, naturally, unapologetically. Owning the first hour of your day isn't just a nice idea, it's a foundation. It's the part of your life you have complete control over before the world even knows you're awake. In that first hour, no one is texting you, no one is asking for your attention, no one is pulling at your time. It's your golden moment. How you spend it teaches your body how to behave and your mind how to respond for the rest of the day. And the truth is, if you don't take that first hour for yourself, it will be taken from you. Someone else's demands, noise, or agenda will start dictating your mood, your focus, and your peace. That's not how grounded women operate. Grounded women claim their morning like they claim their space, fully, intentionally, and with quiet strength. This first hour is not about doing more. It's about doing what matters. It's about choosing slowness in a world addicted to speed. It could be sitting in silence. It could be breathing. It could be journaling. It could be sipping tea or coffee on the balcony while the sun rises. It could be stretching your body, setting intentions, or simply looking out the window and collecting your thoughts. The point isn't to fill it with hustle. The point is to stop rushing through your life and start meeting your day with calm presence. When you wake up and the first thing you reach for is your phone, you're already surrendering your peace. Before your feet hit the floor, you've let in comparison, pressure, notifications, and noise. You've allowed the world to enter your mind before you've even entered your own body. But when you wake up with presence, when you take a moment to breathe, to reflect, to simply be, something shifts. You become the architect of your day, not just a responder to it. You stop reacting to what happens and start guiding how it happens. You notice your thoughts before they spiral. You hold space for your emotions before they hijack your energy. You carry yourself into the day with more focus, more grace, and more clarity. That's not accidental. That's design. That's you saying, I deserve to start my day with dignity, not chaos. There's power in doing this every single day. It becomes a rhythm, a ritual, a reset. You stop living in survival mode and start building your life on purpose. You begin to realize that peace is not found by escaping the world. It's created through habits that protect your mind before the world even gets a chance to reach you. You might not have a full hour, and that's okay. Maybe it's 30 minutes. Maybe it's 10. The number doesn't matter. The ownership does. Even if you just sit for 5 minutes in silence with your eyes closed, you're telling your mind, I'm in charge here. I'm not rushing. I'm not scrambling. I'm not chasing. I'm beginning with presence. And when you do this consistently, everything starts to change. Your conversations feel lighter. Your reactions feel more measured. Your emotions aren't as loud. You don't feel pulled in 1,000 directions the way you used to. You feel like you're anchored because you are. You started your day by connecting with yourself. And when a woman starts her day grounded in who she is, no amount of chaos can throw her off balance. That first hour becomes her quiet weapon, not because it's loud or impressive, but because it's consistent and intentional. That kind of daily ownership builds a quiet power that people can feel, even if they can't name it. And that's where real confidence lives, not in how much you do, but in how intentionally you begin. Setting boundaries without guilt is one of the most important habits a woman can develop, and one of the hardest. Because for most of your life, you've probably been taught to be nice, to be agreeable, to avoid conflict, to keep everyone happy, even if it meant swallowing your own discomfort. But the truth is, every time you say yes when you want to say no, you teach yourself that your needs are less important than someone else's. You chip away at your self-worth by prioritizing harmony over honesty. And eventually it catches up in resentment, in burnout, in silence that feels heavy instead of peaceful. Boundaries are not about building walls, they're about building clarity. They say, this is where I end and where you begin. They don't keep people out, they teach people how to treat you. And when you set them with consistency and grace, you create space for healthier, more honest relationships. You don't have to yell. You don't have to be cold, but you do have to be firm. You have to be clear. You have to mean what you say. The people who love you may need time to adjust, and the people who only benefited from your lack of boundaries may fall away. Let them. Because what you're doing is choosing peace over performance. You're choosing self-respect over people-pleasing. And that's not selfish. That's emotional maturity. You were not born to be everyone's solution. You were not created to fix everything that's broken in the room. You are not obligated to carry what does not belong to you. Boundaries sound like, I can't make it, but thank you for thinking of me. They sound like, I'm not comfortable discussing that, or I need time before I respond. They sound like, that doesn't work for me, without needing to explain why. You don't owe anyone a paragraph for choosing what honors your energy. You are allowed to protect your time, your space, your peace, even if it disappoints someone, especially then. Because boundaries are tested most when someone doesn't like them, and every time you hold the line, you reinforce your own worth. You remind yourself that you matter too, that your comfort, your rest, your sanity, they are valid. It takes practice. You won't get it right every time. You might still say yes when you mean no. You might still overextend out of habit. But that doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're learning. And every time you pause and reflect, every time you choose yourself even a little, you get stronger. You start to feel the difference between guilt and growth. Guilt says, I'm doing something wrong. Growth says, I'm doing something different. And different is necessary when the old patterns no longer serve you. People may call you distant, guarded, too much, too quiet, too selfish. Let them talk. What matters is how you feel when you look in the mirror. Do you feel at peace with your decisions? Do you feel proud of the way you've honored your energy? That's your compass. That's your truth. The rest is just noise. And once you get used to protecting your boundaries, you'll wonder why you ever lived without them. You'll realize that a peaceful life isn't a passive one. It's one that's been protected with decisions, with pauses, with firm and loving no's. Boundaries are how you reclaim your power. They are how you tell the world, I know what I need, and I'm not afraid to honor it, not to hurt anyone, not to create distance, but to finally stand in your life with both feet clear, confident, and unshaken. That kind of strength is not loud, it's not dramatic, but it changes everything. Because when a woman sets boundaries with love and stands by them without guilt, she stops chasing peace and starts living in it. Moving your body with respect is not about chasing a number on the scale or trying to fit into someone else's image of beauty. It's not about punishment, shame, or comparison. It's about saying, this body carries me through life, and I will treat it like it matters. When you move your body daily, you're not just burning calories or building muscle. You're reconnecting with yourself. You're telling your nervous system, I'm here, I'm safe, I'm strong. Movement has the power to ground you, to reset you, to lift you out of anxiety, to pull you out of overthinking. It brings you back to your breath, your presence, your power. And it doesn't have to be a high intensity workout or some perfect routine. It can be as simple as a morning stretch, a 10-minute walk, a dance in your living room, or a slow yoga flow. Your body is not a problem to be fixed. It's a home to be cared for. And when you treat it with kindness, everything begins to shift. Your confidence becomes rooted in how you feel, not just how you look. Your energy becomes cleaner, more steady, more vibrant. You don't move because you hate your body. You move because you respect it enough to care for it. That shift in mindset is where true power lives. It's where self-worth is built, not on the outside, but deep within. Because you're not just doing something to your body, you're doing something with it. You're forming a relationship with it, listening to it, honoring it. For too long, women have been taught to view movement as punishment for what they ate or as a desperate way to earn love, approval, or attention. But when you unlearn that and start moving from a place of love and presence, you step into something more sustainable. You stop chasing and start nurturing. You begin to feel grateful for your legs that carry you, your arms that hold others, your heart that keeps beating, your lungs that fill with breath. Movement becomes a thank you, not a punishment, a daily celebration, not a chore. Some days you'll feel strong, other days you won't. That's okay. This isn't about perfection. It's about consistency. It's about showing up, even if it's just for a few minutes, even if your body feels tired, even if your mind feels scattered. You show up not to crush a goal, but to remind yourself that you are worth the care, you are worth the pause, you are worth the effort. Every drop of sweat, every step taken, every breath focused is a statement of value. It says, I deserve to feel good, I deserve to be well. And when you move your body with that kind of intention, other areas of your life follow. You make better decisions, you sleep more deeply, you eat more mindfully, you speak more kindly, because you are no longer disconnected from yourself. You're no longer treating your body as an afterthought. You're making it a priority, not because society demands it, but because you do. That's what mastery looks like. Quiet, daily ownership over your well-being, not for anyone else, just for you. You don't need a gym membership, fancy equipment, or the perfect playlist. You need awareness. You need a few moments of stillness followed by a conscious decision to move, even just a little. That choice, repeated daily, creates strength, not just physical, but emotional and mental as well. Because when you treat your body like it matters, the world starts treating you the same way. You hold yourself differently. You walk with more confidence. You enter rooms with a posture that says, I take care of myself, and it shows. That kind of woman doesn't beg for attention. She radiates from the inside out, and it all begins with how she moves. Not for performance, but for presence. Not to be seen, but to feel. That's what moving with respect creates. A woman who is deeply at home in herself and unshaken by anything outside of her. Speaking to yourself kindly is a habit that quietly transforms your entire life. It doesn't sound big, it doesn't look dramatic, but it changes how you walk into rooms, how you handle stress, how you love, how you lead, and how you recover from mistakes. The way you talk to yourself is the atmosphere you live in every single day. If your voice is constantly harsh, critical, and impatient, it doesn't matter how much external love or validation you receive, you'll always feel empty inside. But when your internal voice becomes gentle, encouraging, and respectful, something softens in you, something heals, and from that healing comes strength. Most people don't even realize how badly they speak to themselves. They call themselves lazy when they're just tired. They call themselves weak when they're just overwhelmed. They label themselves unworthy when they're simply human. The mind listens to that, the heart absorbs it, and eventually your identity forms around it. That's why it's so important to become aware of your inner dialogue. Not just what you say out loud, but what you whisper to yourself when no one else is around. That quiet narrative becomes the foundation for your self-esteem, your choices, your relationships, and your entire emotional experience. Kind self-talk isn't about lying to yourself or pretending everything is fine when it isn't. It's about telling the truth with compassion. It's the difference between saying, I messed up, I'm such an idiot, and saying, I made a mistake and I'm learning from it. One shuts you down, the other lifts you up. One traps you in shame, the other builds resilience. This is not soft advice, it's discipline. It's rewiring how you relate to yourself after years of being hard on yourself. It takes work. It takes catching those thoughts mid-sentence and choosing a new direction. And the more often you do it, the more natural it becomes. When you wake up and your first thought is, I look horrible today, that tone shapes your energy. When you say, I can't do anything right, you carry that weight into every task you try to complete. But when you begin to replace those thoughts with words like, I'm doing the best I can, or I am allowed to be a work in progress, you begin to move differently. You breathe deeper. You stop over-explaining yourself to everyone. You stop shrinking in rooms just to be liked. You carry your own validation instead of borrowing it from others. This habit is especially important during hard moments, when life feels messy, when you feel behind, when you're grieving, doubting, or disappointed. Those are the times when your inner voice matters most. That's when it needs to sound like a best friend, not a bully. That's when it needs to remind you that progress doesn't always look pretty and that setbacks are not proof of failure. And when that voice is steady, kind, and rooted in truth, you don't just survive, you grow. You can practice this by starting small. Pay attention to your tone when you're alone. Notice how you talk about yourself when you make a mistake. Begin to question whether those words are helpful or harmful. If you wouldn't say it to someone you love, you probably shouldn't say it to yourself. Begin replacing phrases like, I'm so stupid, with, that was a tough moment, but I'll figure it out. Replace, I'm not enough, with, I'm growing and that's enough for today. These subtle shifts, practiced daily, change the way you see yourself. And when you start speaking to yourself with love, you naturally start showing up in your life with more confidence, more calm, more clarity. You stop trying to prove your worth because you already feel it. You stop waiting for people to affirm you because you've learned to affirm yourself. You move from needing permission to simply giving yourself the freedom to be whole, to be flawed, and to be powerful anyway. And all of that begins with the words you repeat when no one's listening, the ones that either limit you or liberate you. Choose the ones that help you breathe, that help you rise, and that help you keep going, even on the hard days. Keeping one promise to yourself every day might sound simple, but it's one of the most powerful ways to build self-trust. And self-trust is the foundation of confidence. It's what allows you to walk into situations unsure of what's coming, but absolutely certain you'll handle it. When you keep promises to yourself, you teach your mind, I can rely on me. That's where real stability comes from. Not from people, not from circumstances, but from the quiet consistency you build with yourself in the moments no one else sees. This isn't about making 10 commitments and trying to be perfect. It's about choosing one thing, small, manageable, meaningful, and following through. Maybe it's drinking 2 extra glasses of water. Maybe it's going for a short walk. Maybe it's not checking your phone the first 30 minutes after waking up. Maybe it's writing 3 sentences in a journal before bed. The size doesn't matter. What matters is the act of deciding and doing. Over time, those daily completions stack up and become something bigger. Identity. And that identity sounds like, I'm the kind of woman who shows up for herself. What breaks confidence isn't failure, it's the habit of constantly letting yourself down, saying you'll start and then not starting, promising you'll stop and then continuing. Each time it happens, your inner voice weakens, doubt grows louder, you begin to second guess yourself, not just about goals, but about your own value. But when you do the opposite, when you follow through, your voice strengthens. And with it, your sense of power. That doesn't mean you have to get it right every single time. You're human, you'll miss a day, you'll forget, but the key is returning. Not beating yourself up, not quitting altogether, just returning. There's something deeply personal about keeping a promise to yourself. You're not doing it for anyone else. There's no applause, no gold star, no one is watching. And that's what makes it sacred. It's you quietly choosing to matter, choosing to follow through, choosing to be the kind of person who respects her own word. That self-respect spreads. It shows up in how you speak, how you dress, how you work, and even in how you love. Because when you trust yourself, you stop accepting things that make you feel unsteady or unsure. You also begin to set a new standard for how others treat you. Because the relationship you build with yourself becomes the model. When you show up for yourself, you no longer tolerate people who don't. When you respect your own limits, you stop giving space to those who cross them. It's all connected. And it starts with something as small as keeping one promise a day. That's the kind of habit that no one sees at first, but over time it becomes undeniable. You begin to radiate calm, assurance, and direction, not because you've figured it all out, but because you've figured yourself out. And that sense of knowing comes from action, not theory. Not overthinking, not wishing, just doing. Just picking one small act of follow through and showing up for it daily. Eventually, you start feeling less overwhelmed by life. You stop needing motivation every minute because you've trained your system to take action regardless of how you feel. That's what real freedom is. Doing what you said you do, even when the mood is past, even when the world is chaotic, even when nobody's watching. Because you're not doing it for approval. You're doing it to prove to yourself that your word is worth something. There is peace in knowing that you are consistent, that even if the day throws curveballs, even if things fall apart, you won't, because you've practiced being dependable to yourself. You've made yourself the safest place to return to. And that daily promise, however small, is what reinforces that. It's the daily act of telling yourself, you can count on me. And when a woman knows she can count on herself, she becomes unstoppable. Staying unbothered by what doesn't serve you is a kind of freedom that can't be bought, only built. It's not about being cold or detached. It's not about pretending things don't hurt or acting like nothing matters. It's about learning where to place your energy and where not to. It's about understanding that not everything deserves your attention, your reaction, or your peace. And the more you grow, the more you realize how many things you used to get worked up over that truly didn't deserve a second of your time. The comments, the comparisons, the opinions, the noise, all of it becomes background when you're centered in who you are. Being unbothered doesn't mean you don't feel. It means you've learned to filter. You've learned to pause before reacting. You've learned to look at something and say, this isn't worth my peace, and then let it go. That's a skill. It takes practice. It takes maturity. It takes knowing that your attention is a form of currency, and you don't just hand it out to anything or anyone. When you stop letting little things get under your skin, you create space for bigger, better things to grow inside of you. Clarity, calm, confidence. And none of that can survive in a mind constantly on edge, constantly defensive, constantly drained by every small disruption. There's a deep kind of strength in choosing silence over reaction, in walking away without needing the last word, in understanding that someone's comment about you is more a reflection of them than it ever was about you. You don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. You don't have to explain yourself to everyone who misunderstands you. You don't have to convince anyone to see your value. When you stay unbothered, you conserve your energy for what actually matters. Your goals, your peace, your relationships that lift you, not drain you. The world is loud. People will talk. Social media will push you to compare, react, compete. But the most powerful woman in the room is the one who isn't shaken by noise. She's calm, measured, centered, because she's not living to impress. She's living to protect, protecting her space, protecting her mindset, protecting her time. And that kind of woman doesn't look unbothered because she's numb. She looks unbothered because she's done the work to know what's worth her energy. And gossip, drama, and petty criticism, not on the list. This is a daily habit because life will always throw things at you. A rude message, a judgmental stare, a misunderstanding, a trigger from your past. It's not about avoiding these moments. It's about deciding how you'll respond. Will you give it your time, your thoughts, your stress, or will you breathe, step back, and remember who you are and what you're building? Being unbothered doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you care so deeply about your peace that you're no longer willing to trade it for temporary noise. You train yourself into this mindset by noticing what throws you off and asking, is this worth my energy? You start paying attention to your triggers, your patterns, the things that consistently drain you, and then you begin to separate what's urgent from what's important, what's loud from what's true. You practice not responding right away. You let things sit. You let the moment pass. And more often than not, you'll find that the thing that once felt so big now feels small because you gave it time, not attention. Eventually, this becomes who you are. You start handling situations with more grace. You stop defending yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. You stop panicking over every delay, every rejection, every opinion. You learn to trust your own rhythm. You learn that sometimes the most powerful response is no response at all. Not because you're afraid to speak, but because you've learned that silence can say more than words ever could. And when you live from that place where your energy is yours and your peace is protected, you stop letting small things steal big moments. You walk through your day with more presence. You sleep better. You think clearer. You love deeper. And all because you made the choice over and over to remain unbothered by what never deserved you in the first place.